talk show once. Worst 2 minutes of our lives. The Kate Daly Show starts now.
Have you ever wondered why the United States suddenly exploded with massive insane asylums between 1890 and 1930? We're talking huge, ornate buildings popping up everywhere like they were built overnight. Official story, immigration, urbanization, new moral treatment ideas. But dig deeper, and it feels off like, what if there was a reset? A hidden cataclysm, some call it a mud flood or lost civilization wipeout, and the survivors who remember too much got silenced. Back then, you didn't need to be crazy to end up locked away. All it took was asking too many questions, a broken heart, jealousy, being an alcoholic, or being a wife who didn't clean house or spoke her mind. Families or husbands could commit you with almost no proof, no trial, no escape. Thousands vanished into these places, right when history says society was reset and rebuilt. So were they really insane or just inconvenient to the new narrative?
All right. Welcome, Kate Daly Show. Happy to be here. Yes, I took a week off. I always do, actually, in March every year. So this year is no different. So welcome. And a lot to talk about. Thursday, Ron Paul, Thursday. So it'll be so good to hear from him. He's been on the show numerous times, and so it'll be great. And of course, we're going to talk about economy in Iran. So it's going to get fiery. It's going to get good. And I wish more people would listen to him truly on that subject. We're in the midst of this ginormous game being played, and so of course I'm going to talk about it, which makes me extremely unpopular, but it's okay. It's all right. So comments coming in. How are you? I'm good. And Thursday's going to be good. Okay, so let me just. Oh, there's you guys. There's just so much. I'm going to take your calls today, and in fact, let me put up the banner for today that on YouTube, Facebook. It's live, and Rumble and X. I think X. And so the number 435-680-2503. You can call in. I'd love to hear from you. Dr. Pesta will join me next week. He had something he had to attend to last minute. So it's you and me, kid. And I can't wait for your calls and comments and things like that, because I do want to cover a lot of ground today. We got to cover ICE today. Oh my gosh. The opening. So the insane asylums, they did start cropping up. They put them up for kind of different reasons. And then what they did was they started saying that if you had a problem with somebody, you could actually refer them to an insane asylum. What I mean by problem is not just anything, but if you, like, let's say, didn't get along with your family, you had different ideas than your family, they could actually get a doctor to come in and commit you to an insane asylum. Scary. So, do we have that coming? Yeah, I do. I think so. Actually, I do. I think they're just doing it under the guise of the CARE Act, the CARES Act, I should say. The CARES Act is a very interesting act, and so we'll talk about that today. And I'll talk about disinfo, talk about lots of stuff today. I did want to give you kind of the new, the Iran news, if you will, and what Netanyahu is saying now. Netanyahu's deep state. So for you conservatives who don't think Israel has a deep state, let me introduce you to the deep state. So here is the latest news. And I want to clarify something at the end of this. Here we go. Here's the latest newsreel from the bought and sold. Here we go.
Israel is reporting that Iran is firing more missiles toward the area of one of its major nuclear research centers. Sirens sounding in the area again, just hours after two Iranian strikes wounded more than 150 people. It comes as fresh threats between the United States and Iran to strike critical infrastructure. And it's raising the fears for millions of people across the Middle East. President Trump is giving Iran just 48 hours to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, warning the United States will obliterate Iranian power plants if it doesn't. The strait carries about a fifth of the world's oil, and its disruption is already rattling global markets, as you know, with U.S. gas prices up more than $1 in just a month. And now Iran is firing back with a warning of its own. So News Nation's Joe Khalil is tracking this one closely for us there from Dubai. Joe, how is Iran responding?
Yeah, how are they?
They're responding basically with threats, retaliating, sort of the same thing that President Trump said that he would do if the Iranians do not reopen the Strait of Hormuz. As you laid it out there, Anna, it has obviously been an incredibly tough pressure point on the global economy. And so President Trump essentially warning the Iranians that if oil to flow through that critical, he says that Iranian plants are going to be obliterated. And he said the biggest one first. Now, in response to that, the Iranian military spokesperson said that if the U.S. moves in that direction, then Iran is going to strike IT infrastructure, energy infrastructure, and also water desalination plants in the United States or belonging to the United States and Israel as well. So a war not just of strikes back and forth, but a serious war of rhetoric back and forth, escalating things as well, Anna. And this is what the Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel, said today about the need to continue even further strikes on Iran.
They have now the capacity to reach deep into Europe. They already have fired on European country, Cyprus. They are putting everyone in their sights. And fourth, they're stopping a maritime international route, energy route, and trying to blackmail the entire world.
They're trying to blackmail the entire world. Okay. So just so we're clear, the oil and gas that you're seeing all the high prices on got purchased a while back. There was no reason for them to do that except taking advantage of what's going on. And the other thing to note in this little game that's being played is that we get a very, very small share, like 10% of our oil consumption is coming through the straits. The strait, I should say. Let's start there, shall we? For 10%, you're basically at least $5 a gallon by the freeways anyway. $4 a gallon. It's gone way up. Okay. And our economy is really, really tough right now for a lot of people. And people are paycheck to paycheck. I can feel it. You can feel it. So the economy isn't getting addressed. We're not getting better, but we have a big excuse. And the excuse is that, the Strait of Hormuz, that everything's coming through there. Do you know that if you talk to somebody younger, I actually want you to question somebody younger and say, where does all of our oil come from? And they will say it comes from Iran and Iraq and it comes through the straits. So that's not true. 10%, very low percentage. Okay. But what it does is it gives a very, very big excuse as to why on our conservative side, we cannot address the economy. We can't fix the economy. We can't help the economy. Oh, it's because of what's happening with Iran, where we still don't know why we even did what we did. So there's still nothing addressed. There's no reason for it. They didn't attack anyone. And by orders of Netanyahu, we're looking at this war that didn't go through Congress, that is escalating. Still don't know why. Tulsi Gabbard, I interviewed her on my show. She's gone the way of the neocons, the way of a Lindsey Graham, the closeted, very specially closeted Lindsey Graham. Okay, and everything is about we gotta hit Iran, but no one can say why. Not one person can give you an answer. Interesting. And all of our conservatives are cheering. So this person on YouTube is diesel fuel is at 345 or 545 in Moab. Yeah. Except that there's no reason for it. 10% of our oil consumption comes out of the strait, and look what a big deal they're making. So at first, remember, Trump said, well, we're going to make sure that Navy, that we're covering, right, the insurance, because that was the big issue, which I think was a lie, and it wasn't true. And so now we're going to have the military cover this. But what happened since then? Nothing. Nothing happened since then. So it is insane right now. And when you watch the news every day, I mean, my own kids were asking me about this, and I was like, it's so much theater that I don't know what to say. Although, look, the theater is, oh my gosh. What's tough is that a lot of people, like in this clip, okay, it said that they're going to hire, they're going to penetrate IT. They're going to get into all these areas, and they're making people in America really, really, really afraid that Iran's going to hit us, and that they have all of these little groups of hidden people that are going to go after our infrastructure. The problem with that narrative is that they've been using that narrative for 45 years. And the last 20 have been completely ramped up to think that there are all these really secret groups because, by the way, the CIA knows exactly who's in this country. I'm sorry, they do. So, there is no doubt in my mind. So to say that there are secret groups around that are going to hit our IT, or hackers over there are going to hit our IT, and infrastructure and come after us is the biggest joke to me. So it goes along with the theater and the fakery that's happening right now. And if there was any kind of summer hacking of anything, it's going to be the CIA. It's going to be the CIA. I don't think for a second it's going to be Iran. And hi to everybody coming online. I really appreciate you guys. By the way, Thursday, Ron Paul, that'll be so good and interesting to listen to him. And if you have questions, email me, kate@katedalleyradio.com. I'd love to hear what you have to say. And your questions for him as well. I'm sure you probably got a few anyway. So while we're doing all of this theater of war, by the way, the Ukraine-Russian was a theater of war. As we do this, and it's truly controlled, and I actually do think people have been asking me, will it go on? Yeah. It will. It will go on because why? Because they set up an extremely large, the largest ever war budget for it. That's why. And they made sure to get it passed because they knew by putting Trump in, the deep state, that we would be able to grow that and escalate that budget, and that no one would say no, that we wouldn't say no to it. So we have a long drawn out war of sorts. We're getting lied to about the economy. Okay. So it's a big, big excuse for the economy. And then on top of that, we have all of this new threatening going on and the big fear tactics going on. They're going to hit our infrastructure. They're going to do all these things. So it's getting interesting. Let's take a caller, shall we? Hi, caller. Welcome to the show.
Yes. Well, then can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, then Yahoo has told us what this war is all about. Mm-hmm. And he told us in 1996, and then he told us a few years later. I have a video compilation I'm going to send to you probably today. Mm-hmm. About 5-6 times he said the exact same thing for 30 years, since 1997. Yes. He said, we're at imminent threat of being attacked. We will be attacked by nuclear weapons by Iran. Yeah. And he said it over and over. He said it's repeatedly, about 2 weeks away, 2 weeks away. Yes. For 30 years, he's been saying exactly the same lie over and over, and I'll send that to you later today. But, one thing that's real important with all wars, who's the nation, who is the allied nations that that are the aggressors in the war, initiated the war, the war of aggression. So any response in the Strait of Hormuz and so forth is a response to another nation, in this case, 2 nations, and it's really not 2 nations, it's 2 people that have no authority. Trump has 0 authority, and I'll debate that with any constitutional expert in the entire universe. No authority at all to attack any nation, initiate a war of aggression. So this is where we need to start. Who started this war? Yeah. There is no threat to the continental United States at all from Israel.
Nope, no, none at all. Thank you for the call. No, there wasn't. And that's why they're having such a tough time explaining it. And when a conservative says this, people go, wow, conservatives saying that. Yeah, because a lot of conservatives are actually awake. So yes. And I'll tell you, It's not that hard to be awake anymore. It really isn't. And, your leftist will climb all over certain issues. And I don't see a lot of, sorry to you leftists out there, I don't see a lot of education going on. I think leftists think government should solve everything. And my constitutionalist friends know that it shouldn't. They should just get out of the way. And so it brings up some awakenings, if you will, because when you can't explain why you're bombing somebody and you don't go through Congress to do it, and you've got the spokesman like Lindsey Graham out there going, yeah, we must do this. He's always that guy. He's always that guy. Remember, he was best friends with McCain. McCain was horrid. So talk about deep staters. So we have a problem, and that is identifying what's real and what's not. So whenever I'm going to talk about government, I'm just going to identify from now on the deep state, because it's just the deep state. It's not the Trump administration, because they're just moving through Trump. And that's why they wanted him in again, because they do control elections just like they controlled it in 2020, to give you a great example. That happened while everyone was watching. So that's the example I'm going to give you. But it is pretty amazing that we don't identify the deep state when we're talking. We only identify how much we will worship or hate the leader, but not the actual person or people running the country. So the deep state wanted this. We have a big excuse, a big reason as to why the economy is going to stay horrible. And if they just get out of our way, we could actually make the economy pretty darn good again. But government ever present. And what I'm seeing at home now is the ramping up of measures. Let's call them measures. Measures that are being taken right now, like ICE at the airports. Okay. So I think the TSA thing was completely conjured up. I think that that they wanted ICE at the airports, that this was by design. They have the robot dogs. They have all kinds of measures going in. They have, there's also weirdly, some people that really understand the Constitution actually saying, yeah, we love ICE at the airports. And I'm like, look, we shouldn't even have TSA. So why do we have ICE? We shouldn't have any of them at our airport. Okay. And when I hear somebody that says, oh, I wouldn't get on a plane without TSA, you did for decades. Okay. People are, I'm sorry, but the whole excuse of TSA is saving us from airplanes going down is a joke. It's a joke. So they can't even tell you how many grandmas had a certain amount of water on them that or liquid on them that could cause a bomb. I mean, these are the kinds of ridiculous things that they sell to us using the TSA. So, or the validity, trying to prove validity of the TSA. So to bring in ICE and say that ICE is okay, you should be saying none of it's okay. That's what you should be saying. But people aren't saying that. So we have another problem in identifying what should be happening in the United States and what shouldn't. And when I see people praising ICE, it's just amazing to me. What have they gotten? Like tell me that, please. What do they have? Lots of bottles of cologne. Okay. Somebody's weapon that they were actually either concealed carrying or going to take hunting on a hunting trip. Okay. What have they actually found for the last 25 years that has saved us? Yeah, I don't think much. You look at the number of airline accidents, you look at the number of things that have gone wrong, okay? And TSA isn't saving us from that either. So what's the deal? Okay, so you have really interesting things going on where people have lost their ever-loving mind. They've lost their mind in understanding America and what we're supposed to have and not have. So all of these things are going in. You have by 2027, all the cars will have the brand new biometric, facial recognition, behavior recognition, how is your head tilted recognition. All of these things are going in by, I think, 2027 into the vehicles. You have ICE manning the airports, right? We have the growth of ICE because what did we see? We saw 2 states, California and Minnesota, that had big, huge issues with ICE. Okay. It wasn't all over the country. Remember that. It was a couple of places, but ICE grew, and now ICE is welcome at our bases, and ICE is definitely growing. Now, do I believe in deporting illegals? Of course I do. Deport them all. Deport them all. And I've mentioned this on the show many times. What did we used to do in the past? In the past, we actually had voluntary, you get out or we will prosecute you. You don't get the legal system to keep you. It's the legal system to get you gone, to criminally prosecute you. Okay, so 97% of the illegals, when faced with this choice, would leave the country voluntarily. They stopped doing that. They started building all of these infrastructures to house them while they waited on the legal system that they deserve now, to make sure that they're getting a fair shake according to the lefties. Well, there's a lot of infrastructure going up. So that leads me back to the clip that I started the show in. And that was, what are we actually building? So we're building all this infrastructure out. Who's going to be housed there? People that don't believe in the government, people that do not or question the government, people that say, the government is not okay. They have no legal right to do what they're doing. People like me who say, not only is ICE not supposed to be there, okay, because they're not saving me from anybody and anything. We went on planes for a long time and people weren't boarding planes and downing them like it was candy, okay? So we have a problem, right? They utilized 9/11 to do this. Now they're building these infrastructures, okay, for the excuse of the fact that these people are detained and need their legal system, a legal system that they're not even a citizen of. So we have these infrastructures going up. We have new robot dogs. We have, all kinds of presents, right? Remember, it was like the fall of last year when we had things happen with the subway system. And what did we do? We called in National Guard. So all of the heavy-handed approaches, everything that's coming in is coming in because of the deep state. It's not coming in because this president or that president. All of it is by design by the deep state. And all of it comes in without question. What they do, the deep state, is to say, we're going to put this guy in and this guy in so that you won't squeal about it. So do they plan and execute our elections? Yes. Now, this brings me to another piece of disinformation, and I am going to out somebody here, okay? I'm only outing them to show you an example. So James O'Keefe, okay? James O'Keefe, I met him. Okay. Interesting guy. So here's the latest with him. California homeless bribed with cash and drugs for registering to vote. Now, James's bio reads like a CIA deep stater, okay? Like not a deep stater, but a CIA asset, okay? Go back and read his bio. So instead of saying the elections aren't real, which we should say, okay, because they were commandeered a long time ago, completely commandeered. And then in 2004, completely taken over by Office of the Internet. James O'Keefe is out there trying to get you to believe that the homeless are being bribed to register to vote and that the registering of voting is going to impact the vote. But the voting's fake. So how can that be? I did want to believe that James was a guy working, against the deep state for a long time. And there was a time when I actually thought that he was. And then I started realizing, okay, what has he brought to the table? And it's not anything that's going to be earth-shattering, that, like when I say elections aren't real, it's not going to be showing the fakery of what's happening. It's going to be sort of furthering the deep state narrative, but not overtly. to where you think that it is being showcased, like it's being, oh, look at him go. Okay, he's got his cameras and he's funded by somebody we don't know, and somehow, some way, he's able to do this full time and has been for a long time, but nobody's really stopping him. And so on our conservative side, James has been this person who has been revered. Okay, revered, and I'm saying that, what is he actually doing? A lot of times when he does his investigations, they are too late in the game to showcase anything. That he could be showcasing something that's true, but then it's too late in the game to have everybody wake up to do something about it. So, and then there's pieces like this where he's talking about the elections being completely real. And so now California homeless are being bribed to be part of this, right? To be part of the registering to vote, and that this is impacting us. Same lie is used when they're trying to get you to believe that all the illegals are impacting the vote, which I don't think they are at all, because it can be manned from the Office of Internet. So that lie doesn't work anymore, right? Those that are awake, and I appreciate you guys, those that are awake can see the lie, and it's not a thing. So this is getting a little crazy out there when I see this. And I just want to say that most of what we see on our conservative side is fakery. Most of what the government's doing is fakery. And then if you out that fakery, it's so amazing because you get nailed for it. Like me, I get the brunt of everybody's emotions, right? Because how dare I say that? Okay. So divide and conquer. Yes. As Candace says, it's all fake and gay. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of truth to that. There's a lot of truth to that. Okay. So taking your texts and questions here, because there's just so much to say. And it's funny because I'm a person that just wants to get to the truth, and it's very difficult to out what's happening with Iran right now, because so many of our Christians are sort of bottlenecked in this is how it's supposed to play out for the last days. And that's a tough one, because to wake people up out of that slumber, to realize that Israel has a deep state, to say that that this is being utilized for a land grab for a reason that we can't have the economy back. So all of these things, this is what is a tough sell. This is a tough sell to people, and it shouldn't be at all. This should actually be what we see on the daily, what we recognize. That's what this should be. We should be able to see through the fakery of both sides. I would hope anyway. Gosh, can one hope? I don't know. So they're really appealing to my fellow Christians right now in getting them to believe that Israel doesn't have a deep state, and that somehow, some way, they were being attacked, so they had to attack first, and that we, the United States, needed to attack, but we didn't really, and and that here we are in a very strange situation. I'll take your calls, 435-680-2503. You might completely disagree with me, and it's okay. It's all right. I can't unsee what I see. And that's my problem, is that when people ask me, I'm going to be honest with you in telling you what I see, what I study, and I can't not say that. I can't tell you that this thing is done for any real reason other than to further the deep state. So while we're doing all of this as a distraction, okay, and we were told that it would be America first, which we all bought, okay, but the people need to think of America first. It's not up to the, let's say, any administration to bring that into view. What we're supposed to do is the people are supposed to lead out. The people have always led out when we really change things for the better, okay? It's never been the steering of the government narrative that's led us into better waters, okay? So if we, the people, were more America first, right? We would recognize this in our counties. We would get over 3,000 counties to change. We would oust those people that only want to do the bidding of the state, only want to do the bidding of the feds, and we would start to change it county by county by county. And if we did that, we could change the face of America. Are we willing to? There's a lot of apathy. There's a lot of apathy. All right, I'll take your call. Hi, caller. Welcome to the show. Go right ahead.
Yes, I want to go back to the movie you talked about, and that's Minority Report.
Yeah.
And the pre-crime. Now, that many civilization, that country was in totalitarian country. It was a dictatorship. It was tyranny. And this pre-crime, this is exactly the argument they're using. They might attack us, so we got to kill them first. This is the argument that the left, the Democrats, would use for years and years about gun control or civilian disarmament.
Yes.
They're gonna they could kill people with those guns, so we have to take them away.
Yeah, pre-thought crime.
Yeah, a pre-thought. This is the thinking of a tyranny. This is the thinking of dictatorship. This is the thinking of a savage. I've got to attack their tribe before they attack our tribe.
Yes.
This is the most primitive, savage, barbaric form of government to harm people that have not initiated any harm towards you, to take away their right to self-defense. And this is what we're doing. They're taking away Iran's right to self-defense. If you believe in national sovereignty and nationhood, this is one of the essential components. A nation has a right to have weapons, and they have a right to have weapons of their choice. Otherwise, in principle, every nation of the world has a right to attack America because they created a nuclear weapon.
Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for that. Yeah, and even the countries you don't like, even the countries you don't want to live in. I wouldn't want to live in Iraq or Iran or any of them. I'm grateful to be right here. But yes, he's right. It is very, very interesting how that's how it's playing out in the press as we had to do it to save our country. Not true. All right, caller, go right ahead.
Kate, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh my God, crazy times, huh?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's unbelievable. I can't watch the news. It raises my blood pressure. Go ahead.
Totally.
Yeah, go ahead.
So a few thoughts. One is what's coming to my mind right now is this is maybe COVID's too, the energy crisis.
Yes.
It's going to lock us down and, you're only going to be able to go to work a few days a week. I don't exactly know why they do it. Maybe that would be a good thing for Salente or Marino because it has to do with the M2 money supply, I think, and slowing it down. That has some effect on the economy, which we know is going to go bust at any moment, seemingly, unless they come out with QE3 or something.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I wanted to bring up too is the big picture. Hopefully you could talk about this sometime with Albert Pike and predicting the 3 world wars, the Scottish Freemason.
Yes.
And the 3rd World War is going to be to foment war between the Christians / Zionists and the Muslim state. So I think if you're looking for a big picture thing, that is probably what's happening.
Yeah.
And then the other immediate thing I would like to alert people to, and I hope you talk about this too, is Larry Silverstein buying the 2nd largest skyscraper in LA, Union Bank, to pull off another Twin Towers disaster. And he's supposedly insured it too against terrorist attacks.
Yeah, he bought it.
And
he bought it several years ago. He bought it several years ago. He bought it in 2020.
Okay.
But still, everybody should probably be looking at what he owns because of 9/11.
Totally.
Yeah.
And if he pulls it off, no one, we'll know what's up, but is that enough? I mean, most Americans won't even blink an eye at it.
Right. No, you're right. You're right. They did this by design for sure. And appreciate you. Thank you. Love the conversation. And it's true though. There's so many things like this, Trump is now speaking to the fact that we're going to be putting in safe task forces all over the country, the feds. All right. Like I'm saying, there's a lot of infrastructure being laid down here in America while all eyeballs are on Iran right now. Hi, caller. Welcome to the show. Go right ahead.
Yeah, Kate, a really good show today.
Thank you.
You bet. There's so much you're bringing up. And I want to say that past is prologue. And while I'm keeping an eye on everything that you are, you're right up there. And to me, especially with your Utah base here, up there with a lot of people I hold in high regard. Yes, Candace Owens to a large degree, but also Stu Peters. Now, I know you had some commentary concerning him a year or so ago. I don't know if that has changed or not.
A couple years back.
Pardon me?
A couple years back. I'm not sure about Stu. Yeah, I'm not sure about him.
Right. Well, at any rate, you have him, and he's got this cohort there, Frankie Stocks, and on the Stu Peters show, and they just hammer away on very real things. And when I say past is prologue, the idea of John F. Kennedy, it's not a given. I don't know if you got a chance to review the book that I've been telling you about. I think you recall me calling you about the book Final Judgment by Michael Piper.
Right. I haven't gotten into it yet, but yes.
Yeah, you bet. No problem. Some people have read it. It is the basis. It is the book that came out in the mid-'90s. It cracked the John F. Kennedy case. And in fact, the guy that endorsed it was the fellow who was well known at one time, not a household name, but the great Mark Lane, who wrote Rush to Judgment. And he's the one that linked Kate, the CIA, to the killing of Kennedy. But then he went on after Piper's book, Final Judgment, in the 90s, in 97, and said, Mr. Piper has pinned the tail on the donkey. And it was, yes, the Israeli lobby. It was known as the Israeli desk of the CIA. And one of the things that Trump released last year, Trump won't make all these correlations. He said, we'll do no commentary on it. But they did release some things that did confirm much of what Piper and Mark Lane and several others have pointed out. And that is that Underhill, if you recall, there was a fellow named Underhill at the CIA who would holler to anybody that was listening. He said it was not the CIA as a whole. It was a specific group. That man lasted, Kate, 6 months, and they killed him. And another death involved in the Kennedy assassination because they could not point out that it was the Israeli desk of the CIA and James Jesus Angleton. That name now appears in the documents that Trump did release a year ago. And so I bring this out so people can look at that. And then where we have them dead to right on, and they can't answer, so they have to ignore, and that is the USS Liberty. And that's why I called you today. I don't believe, I'm no longer working, if you will, with the Zio-Christian right. Even though I am very much a Christian, I know where you're struggling at too, Kate. But the fact is, we have to look at a new alignment. And that new alignment, like we've always had in the Republican Party with independents, certain libertarians. Yes, we can do that forge with the old Kennedy left. And that's what I'm talking about. Max Blumenthal. We need to realign there. We cannot work with Mark Levin. He's not one of us.
No,
in any way.
I don't.
He's detrimental to our well-being, to our life.
I'm not a
Mark
fan.
Levin and Shapiro are, these two Jews have got to go.
Okay, thank you. So not a fan. That was a long one. Thank you. Not a fan of Mark Levin. And I question everybody. I question Stu. I actually do question Candace. I question everyone that is well-funded. When you look at their sponsors and you start to see who the sponsors are, there's always question marks. It doesn't mean that I'm saying for sure something's, but I would lean toward being highly more suspicious of people that are well funded, have a studio, don't really have a long history of being into politics, and then all of a sudden emerge on the scene. So the problem with the disinformation is that most of the information is going to be true. And then people go, well, see, to me. And I'm not talking about 98% or 95% of what they say. I'm talking about the 5%. So it's kind of like James O'Keefe. Everything's fake and gay. Well, I don't see him outing the things that are the really truthful things that get at the heart of what's happening. So I see some good things that he's done. I see some truth that he said. Same thing with Glenn. Same thing with so many of these guys. Mark Levine, one of them. You do not get a big audience. I've said this over and over again. You do not get a big audience. You do not get grand things unless somebody is there to do that for you. And so All I'm saying is that when you look at the sponsors, the billionaire sponsors, there's a problem there. Now, by the way, I'm going to take this phone call, but I did want to say, you see me drinking Cardio Miracle. Will you guys please get this? Seriously, please try it. Please try it. It's helping me lose weight. It's just helping skin and hair. It's amazing. The nitric oxide, the 20 times the fruits and vegetables. I've actually talked about a few products on air over 16 years of doing this, and Balance of Nature and fruits and fruits and grains. I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, some different products. This is 20 times that. Yeah. This is why I sip on it all day, and then I have a dose in the morning. So I have a dose really fast in the morning, then I sip on another dose all day long. But this surely has been working for me and helping me. Cardiomiracle.com/Kate. Just go get some. Please go try it. It's going to help your health so much right now. All right, caller. What's on your mind?
Well, hi, Kate. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Hey, so the last caller brought up a point that kind of I wanted to piggyback on a little bit, and you were mentioning this as well.
Okay.
I don't know how many people took the time to listen to the interview with Joe Kent, Tucker Carlson.
Yes. Yeah. Uh-huh.
But I thought it was very, very interesting. One of the points that he made, and I'm curious to get your take on this gentleman, if you have time or if that's on the docket. But the thing that he was asked was about, how it is that the deep state or intelligence or the government, since JFK have coined the term conspiracy theorist. And his answer was so
what was it?
Well,
I'm curious.
Together.
I'm curious. What was it?
He said that what they do so for example, like Crooks, right? Crooks was the shooting in Pennsylvania of Donald Trump. They're supposed to do basic police work when they do an investigation. For example, if Crooks was known to be practicing at a shooting range, then there probably is going to be footage of Crooks at the shooting range with somebody, right? So you would think that after being a good police officer, you would go to the shooting range and you would find the footage of Crooks and find out who he was shooting with.
Right.
Now, that's a very easy question to answer,
right? Yes.
But what they end up doing, the deep state or whoever is behind whatever it is that they're pulling, they will purposely hold that information back. And what they do that because then it creates all of these different theories as to what really happened. And then because we're human, we all talk amongst ourselves, especially on social media, and you'll get people who come up with extraordinarily strange or out of the league ideas, and then they can point to those kooky theories and say, well, look, right, these people are just crazy because they're coming up with all of these theories. But on the other hand, you can't ask about who Crooks was shooting with. That's off limit. But in the meantime, everybody's crazy, and so you should believe us and not look over there. And I thought, wow, isn't that the truth? Because they have access to all of this data, to all of this information. They hold on to it, they manipulate it, they change it, and they erase it.
Yes, 100%. Yes, thank you. I love the phone call. Thank you so much. Yeah, that was interesting. I felt when I first heard, when I first saw Joe Kent's letter, I thought, oh, okay. So usually all those people in those positions are brought in from intelligence. There are so many people working with assets or are assets in government, but happy to work with assets for a position. So I thought, well, they're probably trying to divide a lot more of our conservatives. Our conservatives are extremely divided because you have different degrees of being awake. And so I do feel like a lot of moves are being made like that I don't know how authentic he is because I always question just because of the way the deep state plays these games, you have to really, really question the authenticity you ever see in the media. Just like I question Tucker, okay? Because you have to, because he comes from CIA, right? So that's pretty well-known fact. So look, there's there's just a high degree of skepticism, but I think people play their pawned roles, if that makes sense. So even the back and forth, because I know a lot of people like believe in Candace. Most of what Candace is going to say is going to be true, but the problem is when I see all the conservative hosts going after her, then I'm saying, oh, they are, this is by design. This distraction is by design, because then the news doesn't become about what's actually happening in the news. It becomes more about destroy Candace or back Candace or defend Candace or annihilate Candace. When it comes to like one person like that, I usually will question, just because we're getting played. A lot of games are being played in front of us. I hate the term 3D chess because it's been so overused and people don't really understand it. But I do feel that the deep state are masters of this. They're very, very good at this, and they get people to believe. If you watch enough news this week, you're going to think that Iran is going to hit us like crazy in our infrastructure. We're going to have summertime. I think it's coming. Summertime hacking going on with our grid system. It could happen. I would lean toward that happening, very much so. But it'll be our CIA doing it. It won't be Iran doing it, because Iran is so controlled. Now, I did that show about Iran. I think it has the title of like Iran or Insights today. I didn't purposely put Iran on the title because I feel like a lot of stuff is being washed online. I'm looking at you, YouTube. A lot of stuff is being handled so that people don't see things like that. But look, that show in of itself really goes into more depth about how we've controlled Iran, and how long we've controlled Iran. So if we control Iran, and this is being played out as an economy excuse, if this is being played out as we're doing this for our safety, kind of like the safe harbor thing, right? So every time we go to war, we lose big time in liberty every single time. And so that is our biggest issue right now, is identifying how that's being done and how they're doing it to us. Because I'm always looking at, okay, what are we losing while all eyeballs are on this Middle East thing, thinking that all of our oil is coming from there. It's not. 10% of our oil comes from there. So you have so if we were to really look and see what's being done, we have ICE in our airports. We have all of these measures. This safe task force puts it in every state in the country, so it's more Fed control over the states, which the states should have states' rights to do with it what they want and say no. But when you have all the governors on the payroll, like my own in Utah, then they'll go along hook, line, and sinker. My governor's terrible. He's a pawn for the deep state. He'll do anything the deep state wants because he likes to be popular with them. So this is setting the stage for martial law in our country. It would not be hard to do. It wouldn't even be hard to do right now, to tell you the truth. We really did see a lot of it in 2020, so it would not be hard to do. And we fell for it. But these centers that are going up, I'm looking at messages. These centers that are going up are really, really insane. And I do question anyone in media with a big presence. I don't have that big presence, and there's a reason, because I'm not bought. So I would be questioning everybody right now. I also am looking at some of the very, very, very strange just comments from our side. Like even from, Glenn, there's all, I think that right now in the media, in order to look and understand what's happening, when they have a newscast saying that they're predicting gas shortages and predicting meat shortages, it's only because they're creating them. Let me say that again. They're not predicting gas shortages, they're creating them. So a lot of people are really concerned and asking me, will this go on? I actually think this will go on kind of like the Ukraine-Russia thing that is heavily controlled. I think for the same reasons this is happening as well. Anytime we're in a state of war, you can take away the liberty of people. You can create catastrophe in economy. But you can sell it. You can use marketing to sell it because we're doing it for freedom. We're not doing it for freedom. Yeah, we're not doing it for freedom at all. So that's a huge issue for people to understand, and people won't understand it. They won't understand what we're doing. So, what do you do, right? So even Glenn, our friend Glenn, I say that with a smile. I had a show with the Blaze. So do aliens respond to the authority of Christ? I'm sorry. That was something he put out on Facebook. Do aliens respond to the authority of Christ? I can't even. Okay. This is the kind of stuff that you're going to be handed. This is the kind of stuff. What do you say to this? Like little green men? Is that what we're talking about? Little fake green men? I do not believe in aliens. That was conjured up by the spooks. Okay, so why put something out there like that? Why? What are you doing? Okay? Instead of talking about how we're changing the face of America with spying and how we're welcoming it in because we have to be safe from, those hackers in Iran that aren't hacking us. I don't think ever will. How you put out something like that? How, will aliens respond to the authority of Christ? Which aliens? See, in your mind, you don't even know what he's talking about, right? Well, I suspect he's talking about little green men. Anyway, somebody from another side, I don't think it's illegals. Okay. Oh my gosh, you guys. So we're playing up the alien card. We're building a ton of centers around the country. That started with the deep state working through Dingaling, who was half dead, and Kamala, horseface Kamala. And then now we're doing it through Trump. So the deep state's working through Trump to do it and carry it on. And we're building all these centers. When they popped on the scene, people never said, don't build them. When they popped onto the scene in the 1900s, really, truly more in the 1900s, and they weren't questioned, nobody said anything about them. They were just a nice place to put people that no one would say no to, because obviously if it's medical, then somebody has a reason to be there, not even to question it, right? It's a new reason. It's a new identifier. And how are we going to deal with this is the bigger question. How do we stop this? How do we deal with this as people? Because that's probably what you're wondering, right? Because that's where we're headed. Totalitarian state completely with digital ID. Don't look at what the shots have done to us. Don't look at health. Only go along with the white coats. When the white coats say somebody needs to be committed, because even if they don't believe in government, do it because they probably need to be trusted on that, because they would know, because it's medical. Okay. So we've built this society up that says the white coats are the only ones to listen to when it comes to our health, which we know is not true. That health is anything but that now. Okay. The only way I would trust the white coats is if I lost a limb. Okay. So, something happened I was bleeding out. Okay. That's the only reason. So what I'm trying to do is kind of lay out the lay of the land right now on what we're very complacent to as a society right now. We're very complacent to all the measures going in, violating our Fourth Amendment and many amendments. And we're doing it out of fear of war and out of fear of nuke war, which I've said over and over again, I really do doubt the big nuke thing. I really do. I really doubt it, because they've used it for 70 years. And I'm sorry, if you had actual real terrorists would have gotten hold of a nuke and had no problem blowing a city away. They've never done it. I don't know that we actually can. I think it's used and utilized for a reason. I do. So yeah, we have the flock cameras. We have the new technology going into cars. We have ICE at our airports. We have, which ICE and TSA do not belong at our airports, neither one. We have the whole laying down of a system that is hell-bent on making sure they know exactly who you are, where you're going, and even what you're thinking. Because years ago, when I did the Aladdin show about the Aladdin computer system that's already in, right? And this is really at the heart of AI. And a total system actually of spying, okay, of knowing even what you're thinking, of being able to calculate that. Let me ask you this. Why do you think ChatGPT is free right now? Number one, so you get used to using it for everything. So instead of thinking through things, we're utilizing it for everything. I do agree that there's some things that you can look up that are great to look up on ChatGPT, but they're getting us used to it, and they're getting us used to relying on AI for work, for just about everything you can imagine, okay? But they're also understanding how we think. So what we don't see is whenever we're handed a freebie, it's kind of like media. Media has been free to you, right? So why is it, why? Okay, why has it been free? I used to call it the adult night class that you never thought you were joining. And it was to brainwash you into thinking that on the daily news, on the nightly news in your state, whether it's ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox News, whatever, CNN, you're going to hear what's actually happening in the country. And they're going to tell you how to feel. And so it was the adult education course that you signed up for that you didn't know you signed up for, and that you're getting because it's free. And it's interesting when people put out there that you can have a media show and everyone pays $1 and you can live off of that. People don't pay for media. 99% of the people will not pay for media. And that's why I appreciate you that actually go to my sponsors and help and get something for it and support the show, because people won't pay for media because media is free. So your freebies, ChatGPT freebie, there's a reason they want it to be free for you. There's a reason they want you to utilize it for everything. They want to create a dependency. They want you to utilize it as your brain because they don't want you to use your brain anymore. So they're going to curtail the answers to be just as brainwashy as your nightly news, okay? And create the dependency. When they go to digital everything and you don't want to be part of that game, okay? They're going to take away all these freebies. They're going to from you. You won't have these luxuries, right? These little luxuries that they've given to you with a ball and chain around them, but you don't know. You will not be able to do that in society. So if you don't want to be part of the system, you will have to be able to work and play in the society without the luxury of having that little computer in your hand, without having the luxury of ChatGPT to look something up on the fly or understand something on the fly. And there's a reason that they're creating that dependency right now. There's a reason that they're instigating those flock cameras, that they changed everything in 2020 to create that infrastructure. So a lot happening right now. And I know a lot of you, because I get emails from you, are dealing with health issues. The number one thing that I could tell you to do is to go to katetalks.myshopify.com and get the cancer ebook. It's 14 and a half pages of gold on what to do if you get cancer. And I really encourage you to do this. It supports the show. But you're getting a wealth of information, over 16 years of interviews with holistic doctors and people that absolutely know what to do when you get cancer that is not chemo. I would not do chemo. I really wouldn't. 97% of the people doing chemo actually die. That's not a good rate of success. And if your doctor thinks it is, get a new doctor. So it tells you where to go. It tells you what to do. It tells you all the things that are working, and it cuts through the BS. So I would go to katetalks.myshopify.com and order the cancer ebook. Have that in your computer somewhere, even print it out. I would have it printed. I would know exactly what to do. Okay. Because right now, that is one of the biggest battles we're working against is health and big pharma. And so if I were you, I would definitely go get that ebook. Support the show that way too. And it certainly helps for me to stay doing what I'm doing. Look, this show is never going to be really popular because the truth is never really popular. It never is. And I knew that when I started speaking the truth and got heaps of crap thrown at me, because I knew that I was going to take a road that is not a popular road. There were a lot of roads laid out for me that I had to walk away from because I couldn't do it. I couldn't not tell you the truth. Everything that we're seeing right now through our presidency is done by the deep state. I don't think any of them, every time I'm seeing somebody on TV talking, I'm thinking central casting. I think there's a reason that Trump has said central casting a gazillion times. I even have like roll for that. I even have like a B-roll for that. I think it's central casting to get us to believe that the people that we think are in charge of all these different departments are who they say they are. I think that they severely went crazy, lunatic, leftist, transy, everything during the Biden regime, because the deep state then was also running the country, but they wanted you to very much relax when Trump got in. And I don't think Trump runs the country, but they wanted everyone to relax and go with the flow and go with war, even though there was no attack, and go with digital ID and go with all of these things that are being proposed right now nationwide. They're doing this for a reason, because they know you're going to be complacent. This is the time not to be complacent to any of that. We should have a lot of people like me speaking up about this. When Candace says everything is fake and gay, yes, it is. Yes, it is. Way more than you think, even going back to JFK. Whenever they say they're a womanizer, it's usually the exact opposite. Whenever they say we had to, so you could do the homework on that. Anytime they say we had to bomb somebody, we didn't. Anytime they say that there's a rogue country, there's not. We've been in control for a really, really long time. Anytime they say somebody's going to hit us, it's us, our intelligence. It's not them. I really don't believe it's them at all. I believe it's our intelligence telling us that. Every single time you see a news report, go in the opposite direction and you'll find more truth. Anytime it doesn't feel right, it doesn't sit right, we're going to have this ongoing war for a while. It's your right to question that gut. You are right. Something is not right and hasn't been right for a really long time in this country. And if you get into the tribes, you won't see it. Get out of the tribes. Get out of the tribes. Otherwise, it's hard to see the fakery going on. Central casting, I don't believe we actually have any of the departments actually doing what they say they're doing. I know that's going to sound crazy, but I think it's the truth. I really do. I don't think anyone working at the head of their department is actually doing anything. I think it's all by direction of those that we can't see, the deep state, as it's been for a very long time. They worked through Obama. They worked through George. They worked through so many of our Clinton. They worked through so many different presidents. Dingaling, who was whether he was alive or not, and Horseface Kamala. All of this is done as a major fakery. And so just go the opposite direction. I wouldn't even watch the nightly news. I really wouldn't. Are they actors? Yes, Angel, they are actors. They're really good actors. They did this entire setup. Go back to the inauguration and see who's on stage. All you have to do is look at who's on stage. It's easy to see. And look, I don't know everyone's intent. I don't know their heart. I don't try to say everyone is villainous asset because they want to do evil. but I think that they even think they might be doing their job. But at the end of it, I don't think they actually are, but I think they are. Does that make sense? I know it's going to sound crazy. But I actually think that they think they are. I think a lot of people in media think they're doing their job, think that they're outing a bunch of stuff, but they're not. There are people with the intent to do it to misguide people, but there's a lot of people that get sent talking points and they trust the people sending them the talking points. And so they actually believe the talking points. Tough. It's tough to say all these things because, tough to hear. I know. But actually, I do have hope. I'm a Christian. I do have hope. But I know how the story ends. Hi, caller. Welcome to the show. Go right ahead.
Greetings, Kate.
Hi there.
Remember when Christ said, I'd rather be hot or cold, because if you're lukewarm, I'll spit you out of my mouth. He wants to know that you're passionate about whatever, because then you're expressing your true opinion. In government, you will not find that. They're for whatever they're told to be for. Just like prison guards, they don't have a core value. They're an empty vessel, and they're nothing but an automaton. And that's what you see in the media, and you see that in the government. And when you find those people, they're dangerous, because whoever pays them the most is the one that controls them.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah, I'm with you. A lot of people are bought without knowing they're bought. I hope that makes sense. It was really tough because this is how you'll recognize truth. You can't unsee it. Once I understood about Iran, I couldn't unsee it. So whenever we were talking about Iran in the press, and especially when the deep state used this administration to do something to Iran without cause, and of course, it's always now US/Israel. It's never just US anymore. It's USA/Israel. You guys notice that? And Israel does have a deep state. For all of you that don't think so, they do. So when I saw all of it, I couldn't unsee it. That's how you always know. I'm getting asked, has anyone ever attempted to give you talking points? Yes, they have. Yep. It's been a really wild 16 years on the air. I've interviewed about everybody you can imagine, 300 interviews a year. And yes, the talking points, yes, people have tried to give me talking points or censor a show that exposed too much. That's happened to me. Didn't like where I was going with what I was outing, wanted me off the air. Actually, the news agencies are really heavy-handed in that. That's how it was in my local area where I'd been on the air for 16, 15 years. Before I was censored, it was the news media is usually run by very, very big libs, total liberals, and they are in the ear of the media companies. And then they tell the media that the word that they use is liability. She'll be a liability. They use that word for anything they want to erase. So what they'll do is they'll say, oh, liability. Oh, you can't have that person on the air. She's airing too much. Now, would I be a liability? No, because I can prove that what I'm talking about in most cases. Some is theory, but most is provable. So no real liability, but that's the term they use. So there's terms that people use to control media that outs too much truth. And that's what happened to me locally, my local area, and got media to believe that I could be a liability. So that has been going on for a really long time. And they do it in really strange ways. You know, it's bizarre. The media is also very contained through the people that disperse media. So the people that will sell a show to a radio station, that is very overtaken by people that work for the club. So if you're a show that is telling the truth, they might tell you that you're going to grow, you're going to get all these new stations. But actually what they do is they actually keep you down on purpose, and then they will not grow you. Even though they'll tell you they're growing you, they actually won't grow your show, but they'll keep you sort of in a trance where you think it's going to happen because it sounds credible, but it won't be. Does that make sense? So through the outlets of who gets airtime and who doesn't, they suppress the truth tellers, the very, very few of them that are actually willing to do it. And then they grow the ones that will go with the narrative. So like, don't question Sandy Hook, don't question 9/11, don't question JFK, don't question those things. You'll get a lot more mileage in media. In fact, your show will grow. You'll be huge if you're willing to say those things. I was not willing to act like I didn't know. And so that's kind of how media works. It's really scary, actually. After 15 years of media, the right is just as bought as the left, sadly. That's my conclusion. I've said that before, but I really mean it. I don't think people understand that I really mean that. So listen to me when I'm saying that as a person in the media. It's just as bought as the leftist media. We always identify the leftist media as bought and sold. No, on the right, it's just done differently. For all of our conservatives out there. Do I have hope? Yes. I'm a Christian and know how the story ends, and we do win in the end. So I do have a lot of hope. In fact, I actually carve out my life to feel a lot of joy and do things that are happy things. Because if you get so caught up in this, that your whole world is understanding what most people out there can't see, and you see it. One of the plagues of us, of being very awake right now, is knowing what happens in the future, in the near future. That's hard. That is difficult because you could live in that every day. I choose not to. So you have to carve out joy, happiness, fun. You have to be able to still work your life and understand the cesspool that government is, but you still have to understand and realize the truth behind what's going on. So it's very, very difficult position. I think if you can see this, you were worried about me. Oh, thanks. Oh yeah, I was out last week. Sorry about that. I'm just answering something on YouTube. Sorry. So look. If you are awake and you're seeing the fakery, and there's so much fakery to be had right now, if you can see it, then actually you're kind of called to kind of a special calling in this life, to understand it and yet warn people, but not have it consume you. That is your challenge. I hand you your challenge, your mission. If this was Mission Impossible, this is your mission in life. Rush. I'm getting a question about Rush Limbaugh. Rush was part of the establishment. He actually helped people a little bit, but for the most part, what Rush was there to sell was the right-left game and not the fakery of who's actually running the government. What his role was, and the reason he obtained a very large audience, was he was very good at, the leftists are doing this to us and the leftists are doing that to us, and we need to overcome that. Instead of and once in a while he would expose the right, but he never exposed who was actually running the entire government. Yeah, that's the tough part. It's tough because a lot of people will go, I owe my awakeness to Rush. And I'm like, ooh, ouch, because Rush was there to create or really, really throw some backing to the left-right game. That's why he was there. So he had humor and he was funny. It's kind of like Reagan. Reagan was show pony. He was there for personality. He was there for the trust level. And I liked Reagan. What's not to like about Reagan? But if you truly understood who was running the government, you wouldn't say Reagan was. He was the show pony. And they do that. What I'm trying to tell people in this be very awake thing is, that's happened with every presidency for a long, long, long time, is that it's the level of believe that this person is in charge for the tribe, whatever tribe that represents, but it's not true, actually. So it's hard. It's really, really hard because people like their characters. We like we like to get behind somebody instead of getting behind the Constitution. We like to get behind a person. And we like the love-hate game because the media is really able to make martyrs. They're able to make martyrs to get us to want to back, want to get behind, want to champion, want to cheer. And they're really good at doing it in the movies. And this has become sort of a working movie, is get behind the character rather than seeing who's actually behind the curtain, like in the movie Wizard of Oz. So it's like that. I mean, what can you say? It's just kind of how it works. And the more I exposed it, the more I got censored. So you always have to look at who's getting censored and why. So that's how they do it. And I don't think there's anything we can do about it, but I do think there is hope in other areas. So where you can't change the cesspool per se, there are things that you can do to enlighten and help the people around you to think about. Maybe we talk about things in code terminology. Maybe we attack all of this in different ways, smarter ways, where we communicate with each other, but it bypasses the spying network. So those are the things we concentrate on. Those are the things that we get some hope in. The hope should always be in the people and what the people can do, not what the government's going to do for us. That's the difference. That is the difference. Right now, people are swayed into a false hope of what the government's going to do for us or do to us or not do for us. Has nothing to do with them. We are a much bigger force. And if the people started identifying things that they could do to work maybe above and beyond the NSA spying, or ways to counter that and truly understand history, then I think we have a shot at helping ourselves through it in a better way. That's where my hope is. So I have hope in God, and that's where my hope is. And that's why I'm a generally happy person. And even though I study this stuff, 10 hours a day, I really and truly think that the hope is in the people. We're just sold a box of rocks that the hope is in government. So. And I know a lot of people will say, the people are discouraging. I've had a lot of people that I've been severely disappointed in, and it's been hard. To be truthful, it's tough. It's even tough for me. I kind of have those inklings and feelings, and then you finally realize who they are, and you're like, oof, ouch, or who your government is, who your local government is. It's tough. I'm not saying it's not hard. I'm just saying that my hope isn't in that for change. I think if you do that, knowing the elections are taken, and commandeered, then I think the hope's in the wrong place. I think that we need to be genius right now about trying to figure things out away from that. So that's all I got for you today. Go get some Cardio Miracle because it's awesome. I wish I would have been taking this for years. I do. The nitric oxide's amazing. Man, what a benefit to the body. 20 times the fruits and vegetables of any product. This is the kind of stuff where I go, okay, this is what you need to be taking, because it's really going to help you health-wise. And I just don't want you to be stuck with, big health issues that are really hard to combat. Go get the ebook, katetalks.myshopify.com. Go get this. I get my supplements at FIQ Supplements because of the ingredients. They actually absorb into the body, and that I like. A lot of ingredients you just pee out. Don't do that. Get FIQ Supplements. It's right on my website, katedalleyradio.com. You can see all of this, katedalleyradio.com. Be faithful, be fearless. I'm going to play my intro music because I don't have my other music. And Ron Paul on Thursday. We'll get his thoughts on Iran and the economy. And of course, so much to talk about even other than that. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you for that. And I'll see you here tomorrow with Melissa. Susan's out tomorrow, but I'll be here with Melissa.